The first thing I really wanted to talk about today, Jeff, is obviously the coronavirus pandemic and how that's affected college basketball. How have you had to adapt to covering college hoops?
I mean, the biggest thing for me is just not being out in the road, right? I
Mhm.
mean, it hit in March and everything got canceled. So I would have been out in the road all of March. Final Four, certainly in the NCAA tournament, is one of the coolest things for me to be able to do my job. I bounce around a lot the first weekend. I try to go to at least two different spots, sometimes four spots in 4 days. And the Final Four is just a good networking event, as well as obviously seeing the best teams, hopefully in the country, with the chance to play for a national title. And then you got no July, and that's kind of when I've gone out. I came up doing recruiting, so I always go out in July, go to the PTM every single year. Usually go to Vegas, which wasn't the case a year ago because they don't have that sanction anymore. But again, another opportunity to see coaches in an environment where they're relaxed, and to see some of the top young players that, again, I've done to be able to really establish myself in my career, because I've came up and seen these young kids when they were playing at 14, 15 years old, and watched them all the way through college and now even in the NBA.
So do you see any long-term changes happening for media members because of this pandemic?
Well, I can't imagine. I get a lot of my information by being in locker rooms, whether it's NBA or college. I go in early, and I'm the last one to leave generally, and I'm able to do that now a lot easier because I'm not writing as much. And even when I was writing, it didn't matter. I would be the last one out because I was always writing for a website anyway, whether it was Fox, CBS, ESPN, and there was no time deadline most of the time. So I would make sure I was the last one out because, frankly, that's when you're getting your best information, right? You're getting one-on-one with whether it's players, coaches, whoever, and getting whether it's on or off the record stuff. I don't see any of that being possible anytime soon. Nobody's letting any media in locker rooms for a long time, maybe ever. I mean, that could change for good. I have no idea. So you have to be a little bit more creative. Obviously, I can get people on the phone, doing plenty of Zoom calls, doing podcasts, whatnot. But yeah, I think the media availability and accessibility, you're seeing it now in the NBA. It's relegated primarily to Zoom calls, and you can do that. Most of the people in the bubble right now, covering the NBA, aren't getting more access than people at home watching it on TV.
So when you look at, I feel like there's two different types of ways people can take this, and one is to sit back and pout and say, you know what, it is what it is, and the other person, go out and you adapt to that change. So do you think people entering media right now maybe have, a better chance of learning some more things?
Yeah, I mean, I watch my daughter. So my daughter's a
Mhm.
junior in high school right now, and she's doing all these Instagram live interviews. And
Yeah.
she did one with Adam Schefter earlier this week. I didn't set it up for her. She just emailed him, and he agreed to do it. Now, I think part of the reason he agreed to do it was because he's got a daughter who's younger than my daughter, and doing interviews. So my guess is he felt some level of obligation, which I always do as well. I mean, if young people ask me to do something and I can, I'm going to do it. Because there were a lot of people that helped me when I was breaking in the industry. But, I think there's more opportunities due to social media right now. And again, you don't have to be in front of people to get access. I think there's so many people who have been home through this pandemic, that they're doing more of these Zoom interviews. They're doing more Instagram lives, Twitter, whatever it is. And I think they're worn out now a little bit. But I think through, April, May, June, I think people were saying yes a lot more than they had in the past because, frankly, what excuses were you using? Everybody knew you were sitting on your ass. So you really couldn't, you couldn't say I'm out traveling, or some of those things. I'm at a game. Those just weren't, they weren't viable excuses, I guess.
So, as the season's kind of approaching faster than people are thinking, the thing that I've always said is, what, you've got to prepare as if the season's going to happen. But if there is no season this year or even a shortened one, do you see players opting out to prepare for the next level?
Well, here's what I think could happen is if they make it just a conference season or an abbreviated season, I think you're going to see a lot of players redshirting.
Mm,
They're going to have a decision to make. If there's only a 20 game schedule or 15 game schedule or whatnot, especially, some of the players at the mid major leagues that think they have a chance to play professionally, they get a lot of the exposure on those non conference games. So
mhm.
I think you'll see a lot of kids thinking about redshirting, more kids having the decision whether to redshirt or not. If there's an abbreviated season, but we have no idea right now what's going to happen. I think so much of it's going to depend on college football. And if there's a college football game in October and there's a slate of games in October, I think I feel pretty good that there'll be a college basketball season starting in November. If there's not a college football game in October, there's no way in hell there's going to be a college basketball game in November.
We look at the NCAA tournament obviously getting canceled. One of the first leagues, or one of the last leagues actually after the NBA. It seemed like they took a day or two too long to cancel. But do you think there was any real chance that it was going to get played in the future? Was it done the minute that they canceled it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that was it for the most part. I think everybody kind of follows suit. And I think you're going to get that right now with some of the smaller leagues in football, right? I mean, you see the Ivy and the Patriot and everybody moving things back. Um, so I think a lot of it is a copycat deal. Now, again, some leagues have a lot more money at stake than others. SEC football is going to wait until the very, very, very end before they do anything. But yeah, I mean, I think Rudy Gobert certainly kind of got the wheels in motion. And then to watch that Big East, the one game was surreal, wasn't it? I should have been there. I was supposed to fly out to New York that morning, Matt, and my wife was like, "You know what, New York, really?" And I was like, "Well, you know what? This could be really cool. Who knows what's going to happen? To say you were there, to be able to write on it and report on it, is one of those things that you don't want to say no to." But at the end of the day, I was smart and
Yeah.
decided not to go, and I'm glad I did because you know, I sat at home that day, and then I felt like garbage, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I don't know if I had it or not, but I felt like crap for those 3 days. My daughter felt like crap for like the 3 days following that, and then my wife felt like crap for like 2 months after that. So I wonder if it just kind of went through our family, and so I'm glad I didn't go to New York that day.
I have to agree with you there. I was going to Seton Hall. I
Yeah.
was supposed to work it as well, and I remember texting my dad. I'm like, you know what? I don't think this is the right decision to go in. Watching that on TV, I mean, how crazy was that?
Crazy. Well, it's just crazy because, again, my big thing for all that was why wasn't the NCAA, and I know they don't do this, they let the conferences make the decisions, but why didn't Mark Emmert have a conference call with all the conference commissioners that morning at 9 a.m. and say, all right, we're going to make a universal decision here. Either we're going to play them all or we're not going to play any. But it was just so stupid how it came through, and you had, you know, whatever conference. I don't remember which one it was first that morning, but they said they were canceling. Then the next one, there were like 15 of them that I'm tweeting out according to sources. Instead of just one tweet, all college basketball Division I tournaments have been canceled. You couldn't figure that out? I mean, come on, Mark Emmert, get a clue.
So, if there was a tournament, who would have been your final four picks and maybe a Cinderella team?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. I liked Baylor all year. I did. I liked them early. I liked them late. I liked Villanova. I liked Kansas. And then I'm trying to think. I have one. Who was my? Trying to think of who my kind of dark horse team. I had Seton Hall. I remember I did. I tweeted out something about Seton Hall because I thought Miles could just carry him. So I think that might have been my fourth team. But I honestly I can't even remember. Like it's crazy, isn't it, to try to remember back to the season and who was great. San Diego State was really good, but I didn't have confidence that they'd be a Final Four team. So, but some crazy stuff was going to happen last year. We know that.
Yeah. So I'll end with this. We obviously want a tournament in 2021. What do you think needs to be done for college basketball to be played this year?
All right. So here's my proposal. And
Okay.
it may sound a little bit crazy, but my proposal is such that nobody would have to get on a flight all year. I would have pods of 12 teams, let's say 30 pods around the country, um, at sites. I would have every team bus in. Obviously, you're not getting on a plane. And the reason I'm doing this is because there are leagues like Conference USA. Like the Big East could pull it off because they're chartering, but Conference USA is going to have to take you know, regular flights, connecting flights. A team like FAU or FIU down in Florida is going to have to take a connecting flight to get to UTEP, right? And they're going to get off the plane and then they're going to play the next day. No, probably not. So I think to do it right, and I think it would add a lot of intrigue and a lot of fun, is have these pods, 2-week pods, where you get 12 teams. So, you could have a lot of the Big East schools in there, Seton Hall, St. John's, a lot of the schools that are around, Providence, whatever. You throw Manhattan in there if you want, whatever. And 12 teams, 2 weeks, everybody quarantines, everybody tests. You have more mass testing, so the price goes down a little bit and everybody can afford it. And you play 6 games within 12 days, something like that. You do it, you come back, then you do another pod. After coming back for a week, you do another, and you start these when kids. I like Kevin Willard's idea. When kids leave campus for Thanksgiving break, I would start them then, do a pod, and forget about conference games. Forget about it. And I don't know. I think it would add intrigue to the season. I think it would make it fun, would make it different, which I think this season, why not try something different and have every pod winner have an automatic bid to the tournament? And then you're picking the rest from at-larges, expand the tournament to 96, do that with a pod system in a similar way, similar fashion. And then you have everybody going to the Final Four site, whatever it may be, for, to me, the Sweet 16. Don't just do it for the Final Four.
Yeah.
Do it Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four, championship game. Condense it to as few places as possible. I don't know.
Hey, I'm all for that. I want a season. I know you want a season.
Yeah, I just feel like let's be as safe and equitable as we can. And I think, again, to give a lot of these schools are not going to be able to afford testing, right? But if the NCAA helps out, number one, which I don't know if they're going to reach in their pockets, but they should if they want there to be an NCAA tournament, right? That brings in a lot of money. So if I'm them, I'm saying whatever we can do to help this happen, we're going to do it. So I think part of it is testing, and I think if you're playing like teams, a lot of like teams, and making it so, like Idaho. Well, all right, Idaho, you got a bus, maybe 8 hours. I get it sucks somewhere, but you can bus somewhere, and then you can play 6 games over the span of one 12-day period where everybody's quarantining. And if you leave in the middle of it and one of your players gets positive, you're gone. You're out. Go home, whatever. We still have 11 other teams. Everybody can still play their 6 games.
Jeff Goodman, thanks for coming on. I hope
No
the
problem.
NCAA hears this proposal. I hope they run with it because we need a season in 2021.
That we do, Matt. I appreciate you having me. Hope all is well in your end. Hope you stay safe, and hope we see some hoops here, college hoops here soon.